Hi everyone, and a massive welcome to another exciting episode here on InfoSec Live of the CISO Mentor with industry leader Ido Ganor, the founder of CISOteria. In this session, Ido is going to explore recognizing that our comfort zone is also the hacker's comfort zone, the building blocks of running a cyber program that's focused on strategic security, and what management tools are available to help CISOs reduce risk and the time to recover. As always, we're going to be live with the chance for our audience, that's you, to ask us anything throughout. So please stick around and please get those questions ready. But before we begin, usual intro. For those that are new to the channel, my name's Simon Lindstead. I'm the founder of the InfoSec Live community. And by sharing stories and best practice over the last few months, has led to over 10,000 views, or hours, should I say, of our content being watched on YouTube by you, our amazing subscribers. So a huge thank you for your engagement. And if you'd like to support the wider InfoSec Live community, including our very exciting 8-week workshop program we've got going on at the moment, or indeed, just buy me the usual decaf coffee, we do have a way that you can show your appreciation with 3 tiers of membership here on YouTube, allowing you to show your support in any way that you can. But whether you join or not, being here and engaging with our content is what really matters. So let's get stuck into some strategic, it's difficult to say, too many S's. Let's get stuck into some strategic security with Ido Ganor. Let's bring him on. I was just thinking, Ido, it's late in the day for me. It's 8 p.m. It's 10 p.m. where you are. I was then going to make the excuse that I'm stumbling my words because of the time.
But... Yeah, I got my coffee, so I'm okay. That's fine.
Well, look, thanks so much for coming on. And thank you so much for inviting me to come along to your stand V18, in fact, at InfoSecurity Europe in 2 weeks' time in London. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, same here. We are very excited and happy to have you with us. And as you asked for coffee, I'm going to buy you quite a few coffees in InfoSecurity.
You've got to remember it's decaf only for me, otherwise I'll be bouncing off the walls. Before we dig in, I just want to say a special thank you. There's, again, lots of people tuning in to watch this, but there's a couple of regular faces that I want to give a special shout out to. First one's my wife, actually, who hasn't tuned into one of these for a while. So, hey, wife, I know you're only downstairs, but I do appreciate you tuning in, even if you don't understand everything there is to know about cybersecurity, a bit like your husband. Then we've got Estella Reyes, who's been a constant supporter the last few weeks for all of the live streams. So, Estella, thank you very much for tuning in. And Alana, great to see you. I hope you and your husband have had an amazing time away. The pictures looked epic. So, looking forward to catching up with you soon. But please bring those questions in the chat. But Ido, over to you. What are we going to talk about today?
So as you actually made in your introduction, strategic security, everyone, we've been recently, we're speaking about business CISOs and strategic security and the hell what it is about. Actually, what is strategic security? What are we talking about? And why is it so important? Why it would, in our opinion, will make a major influence on the whole industry of the cybersecurity, and that's what I would be happy to share with and help everyone to understand how and what can be done in order to make strategic security, so we can really change the whole, actually make a paradigm change in all what's going on in enterprise cybersecurity.
Shall we get you to take a step back and talk about the industry, the issues that we've got and why we've got those issues at the moment, and how, I suppose, how changing that mindset to a strategic outlook is the right way forward. Do you want to just talk about how we've got to where we are, where everything's focused on tooling? And I'll let you say
Actually, let me start probably with, we call this session, Houston, we have a problem. And, I digged into, about this all Houston, we have a problem issue. And it was actually 53 years ago, April 13,
wow,
in 1970, Apollo 13 mission commander James Lovell reported the famous Houston, we have a problem. Apollo 13 had just experienced an explosion, and astronaut Jim Lovell called mission control in Houston to report the problem. That's actually what happened back in 1970. But the interesting part is coming in. What was the issue? The Apollo 13 crew and NASA, and I'm reading out of what I just copied from on the Wikipedia. is that what they had is to overcome number of serious obstacles to get back home. First, they had to improvise and construct a carbon dioxide filter. Improvise. And then second, they had to operate and return their spacecraft with very little electrical power.
Wow.
Okay, so that was Apollo 19 back in 97. And it took them another 5 days to get back safely home in April 18, 1970. We are speaking 53 years ago. So let's get
Pretty much my age.
today.
Pretty much my age there, Ido. Like
yeah, absolutely. Actually, I was also quite young then.
Yeah.
Okay, so doesn't it feel like cybersecurity industry today? That's the case. We're speaking about operational security. It seems like we are back in 1970 in cybersecurity. We need to improvise. We need to find solutions. We are focused on technology solutions. We hear breaches every day. There's new breaches. I just looked before our session. I looked about a list of sessions. There is endless list of breaches every day around the globe.
There is
Millions of records being exposed on the internet from different companies, and it's getting more and more devastating. And that's what's going on today. And part of that is exactly like Apollo 13. We need to really stop for a second and think about what's going on. Now, the interesting part about that is that if you analyze breach after breach, and you just look into that, and the root cause in most of the cases, and again, if you go just one by one, and you just look at what's the root cause of these breaches, let's make it logic analysis of every breach. There was a breach last week, 2 weeks ago, yesterday. Let's just have a close look at them. And the interesting part is that 95% of the breaches are caused because of people or processes or both of them, not because of technology. Now, some would argue that technology is where the problem is. Yes, technology is where the problem is. But why is the technology problematic? Because people have been not using processes to deploy the technology.
It's my favorite saying. The definition of insanity is to continue doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
Yes.
And I think that's where we are with the industry at the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly the case. And when we speak about the comfort zone, and again, I was looking at what's our comfort zone, why it's coming again and again and again, because we are all in a comfort zone. Now, what do we mean by comfort zone? We are all focused on the technology, okay? And we all, and if you talk with many cyber professionals and experts, they will tell you that the issue is in technology, and we need to, because actually the next argument I heard quite a bit is that people and processes are the problem, but in order to solve that, we need automated technology.
Of course we do, with AI.
Yes, exactly. With AI, exactly. But what people forget is that even the best AI technology and the best automated technology, it may have bugs. Now, more than that, in order, once you take an automated technology that, for example, watches your network and is able to find out some malicious stuff going on your network. But this software that you install on your network, someone needs to install it.
Yeah.
Someone needs to maintain it. Someone needs to install patches if there is a, God forbid, a vulnerability in this automated technology. So people still need to deploy this technology. So again, we are back into the people issue. We are back into the processes issue. Now, for everyone, this is in a way our comfort zone. But that's exactly the comfort zone for the hackers, because they are happy with us doing that again and again and again.
Yeah.
Because vulnerabilities, it's an endless game. Every day there's new vulnerabilities. I've been in the software and computer industry for over 30 years. I've never seen a bug-free software or hardware.
Yeah.
None of them. It's a non-existing element. By the way, the U.S. government is trying to enforce some kind of development without bugs.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's a start though, isn't it? At least they've recognized
Yes,
that there's a problem, and hopefully it will start to generate better practices of people shifting left a little bit earlier. But you're right. Again, if you've got the right processes in place.
Yes, that's exactly my point. And again, it's a shift that I think that our whole industry, our colleagues in the industry, our newcomers to the industry should all put enough attention on processes and people. Again, I'm not in any way saying the technologies are not critical element. Of course they are.
Yeah.
But you need to deploy them with good processes. You need to audit them. So there are certain things that need to happen in order, and the focus has been too much into the technology in the industry we've seen, rather than combining it, technology and processes and people.
And do you think then that the reason for that is a lot of the marketing budgets that the companies who sell the technologies? I mean, you've got some massive players in the space who are earning an awful lot of money through selling technology. But the ironic thing there is most of them have fairly large consultancy parts of the business as well for those enterprise level clients who do get looked after and do perhaps look at the people and processes. The problem, in my poorly educated view, is that we're trying to shoehorn a solution that doesn't fit for a smaller business because they can't afford the consultancy piece, but we're still selling them the tools, whether they've got the people to use them or the resources to work out how to deploy them, or, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a very good point, and I think that obviously they do influence the industry. But any industry you would pick is going I've just had a training session just an hour ago, and I'm speaking about Crossing the Chasm, the book of Jeffrey Moore, and this book speaks about the early majority, and then the chasm, and then the late majority people that adopt new technologies. And there is a chasm that many companies do not pass this chasm, because that's the big issue. Now, in my opinion, if we look again in the cybersecurity industry today, I would say it's either at infancy or youth time.
It's a troublesome teenager is where I think we are.
Yes, and by the way, to see that, you see there are over thousands or few thousands of companies and solutions in the market. We as CISOs or CIOs, when we need to pick a solution, we have 1,000 solutions to look at.
Yeah.
What would we pick? What should we pick? There is so much fragmentation in the industry that no matter what, in my opinion, it's going to the industry is going to be consolidated.
You're right. It's getting to the point that every industry gets to, where you've seen masses of innovation, you've seen loads of smaller companies come in. Now you're going to start seeing them get bought up and acquired. And whilst that sounds terrible, what that will do is make the industry a lot cleaner and hopefully a little bit easier to understand for people as well.
Right. It will make it easier to understand. And back to your question about the money. It's impossible to continue to pour more and more money and see no results out of it. So yes, of course, the big companies, especially in cyber, they enjoy very much the whole spending. But we got to 15% IT budget on security, and it's going bigger and bigger. It cannot, at the end of the day, the whole company business will just put all of its revenue into putting solutions for security.
It gets to the point where, it's all about risk management, right? It's getting to the point where you're going to have to accept a lot of these risks to trade if you can't afford to protect yourself from them.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is another, which leads us on to Joe. Thank you, Joe. Good to see you on here. Leads us on to Joe's question, if you don't mind picking that up. Let me move you to the top so you don't lose half your head. There you go. So on the subject of money, how can you allocate a cybersecurity budget to address different security needs when new threats are always around the corner? Good point.
Okay, very good. Actually, excellent, Joe. It's an excellent question about how do you actually define your needs? How do you measure your risk, your business risk? And in order to do that, obviously, one of the things that you really need you need to do is to be able to understand what is a risk on one end, and then to find out what's your risk and what's your risk appetite. And once you have decided what's your risk appetite, now you need to track it and follow it on a day-to-day. And in order to do that, first it starts with your business assets. First, get your business assets. Know what your business assets. What are your crown jewels?
Yeah.
You need to make a decision. What do you want to keep? Because you cannot make everything safe, and there is no 100% security. We also know that.
Yeah.
So what you really need to do is try to focus on your critical business assets, to understand what are the threats. Now, amazingly, if you look at each and every threat, and I don't know if you're familiar, Joe, with the kill chain of every threat as a kill chain. Yeah. And if you go over the kill chain, you will find out it all relates to either patches, lack of patches, or vulnerabilities. Most of the breaches are not zero-day breaches. Everyone comes and this whole industry is frightening all the enterprise about 0 day, but most of the breaches are not 0 day attacks. Yeah. They are returning attacks, and they are returning because of people not deploying processes, and we are back into square one.
Yeah.
You know how many times we've been conducting security surveys and penetration testing. You know how many times we are coming to a company which has all the best breed products. They had an EDR, they have an ACK, they have a great firewall, everything great. And within 10 minutes, we are penetrating their whole network.
Actually, Ido, that brings me on. I know we've got a few people watching this who haven't seen any previous ones. Do you want to just tell everyone what it is you do as a day job and how long you've been doing that for? Because it kind of relates to the fact that you're the industry expert here talking, and we haven't mentioned it.
Yes, I'll be happy. To cover that exactly that. But once we are actually penetrating the network, what we find out is that the firewall is not configured well, so it can be penetrated, or your EDR is not configured well, so it doesn't find out that there is someone malicious is now penetrating your network. So all of that stuff you find out, and again, why? People, processes. Again, the same issue. So the focus, in our opinion, should be, let's see how we actually complement technology with good processes, with good cyber processes. Because every good process, and by the way, I think Greg has been mentioning this quite a bit for a long time, about the importance of business processes. Every business process that you align and you put in place really reduces your risk big time. And in a few minutes, if you would wish, I would be happy to show how it works. But that's exactly the lack of processes is the hacker's comfort zone. Bear in mind that I do understand, and we are, it's not just me speaking and, kind of coming a consultant saying you need to put good processes. Yes, processes, it's not easy to implement. It's actually much tougher than to deploy technology. Yeah. I fully understand it. I fully I fully resonate with it.
And do you think it's perhaps for some businesses, they see that they've got a lack of internal resources to get things like this done, so they go for that plug and play approach of a silver bullet solution instead?
Yes, yes. I think lack of resources to implement, and it's also lack of set of mind. And lack of set of mind, it's also important. So it's not only resources. Set of mind starts with the management.
Yeah.
When you go to management of companies, in many cases, you will ask the management of the company, are you secure? Are we safe? The answer would be, the CEO will say, speak to the CISO. The CISO will tell you it's a technology problem. The CISO, I rely on the CISO. I trust him very well. He's doing a great job. That's it. No. In order for the CISO to do his job properly, the CEO recognized that cybersecurity, it's its own and the management responsibility, not the CISO responsibility. A business CISO is part of the management.
Does this bring up this question, Richard? I will get back to your first question, but this one seemed quite relevant. Have you found the surefire way to get employers and employees to consistently adhere to best cybersecurity practices? I find there's a lot of apathy. Again, is that lack of leadership from the top on that?
Yes, it's related to exactly. And the CISO and the CIO should they should get the buy-in from the management to take responsibility. Once the management will take responsibility, then you can establish processes, because the CISO itself cannot establish good processes by itself. He needs to get the full support of the management of the company, of the CIO, in order to establish good process. Once the management is involved, once the management actually is being updated on the risk, on the business risk of the company, now we are all working as a team. The CISO, the CIO, the management, it's a full team effort. And once this whole team effort works, by the way, that's exactly similar to other enterprise subject matters, marketing, sales. It's all the same issue. Production. They all went into a stage where there was one person responsible for marketing, and he was doing all what by itself. No, it's not. He's part of a team. He's part of the sales team, and the sales team is part of the team.
Not anymore. He's not, because that's been automated.
Yes, of course, exactly. Especially sales.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, that's a whole other discussion. The fact that the automation's killing the sales approach, I think, for a lot of people in this industry. No, but we won't touch on that today.
I'm a fan, and I really like automation. I like AI. Even we have in CISOteria AI, absolutely. But AI is a tool. It's not something that will replace. It's a tool we can use. Automation, it's a tool we should manage. It's not just, it's not that plug and play. It's not a robot type of thing. Automation helps us in places where things are kind of a routine, where the routines are. That's a place where you can automate. But when you need some intelligence, logic, even AI is unable to do. I've been I've been doing and looking into ChatGPT quite a bit in the last month. So I was kind of challenging it. I actually put in ChatGPT, can you write for me a security business plan? I just put the question, and then I get a list. By the way, a very, very interesting list of what things to do. Actually, I was amazed how good it is. But again, as much as I was amazed how good it is, it's so far from the day-to-day pragmatic things that you need to do. It's unable. And once you push the ChatGPT, you ask, yes, but you mentioned that, and why do you do that? And I really started to negotiate with ChatGPT, and then I get a result, which is, actually, you are right. It should be that and that, and maybe it's so. There is a limit to AI as well.
Well, I think you still need an expert to check the output, because if you haven't got that, you don't know what you're going to be submitting anywhere, do you?
Yes, absolutely. At the end of the day, I think that AI is here to stay. Obviously, it reduces a lot, it changes a lot in our life, but it's not replacing the day-to-day. It's not replacing the CISO responsibility. It's not replacing the CISO understanding of what's going on. It's not replacing the work plan. It can give you a guideline, but it cannot. At the end of the day, every work plan is built out of very a long list of tasks of many people in the company.
Yeah.
And these tasks should be followed, and every task immediately implies on the risk. One of the things we're speaking about risk, how do we quantify risk, or how do we track risk, business risk 24/7? One of the things that we should be, and I'll show in a few minutes, again, I can show it at CISOteria how it works, but one of the interesting part of that is that every aspect that goes in the operations day to day immediately implies on the risk. Let me give you a couple of examples of that. Let's take one example. Let's assume that we have a policy that in our organization we are installing patches every 60 days. That's because of our risk appetite and so forth. We have decided that our security policy, installing patches every 60 days on all of our servers. Now let's assume that June 30th is the day we need to complete these patches. Now let's assume we didn't install patches until June 30th. Now we are in July 7th. What happens to our business risk? Obviously, up.
Yeah.
It went up. Why? Because we are more vulnerable than where we were on June 30 or June 25, because we were supposed to install these patches. So this is an example how the day-to-day operation processes are immediately impacting our business risk. Let me give you another example. Let's assume that there is a breach in Australia of actually a zero-day breach in Australia of FortiGate 200F firewalls.
Yeah.
And this breach really created, again, a zero-day for FortiGate. Once everyone knows about this breach around the globe, because it was published in the news of this company, of this breach, immediately every company around the globe that has a FortiGate 200F firewall, what happens to their business risk? It goes up.
Yeah.
Why? Because there was a zero day, there is an exploitable vulnerability. It's a clear risk. So now everyone needs to deploy some process in order to close this specific risk. So these are kind of examples how the day-to-day business risk, to track it, there are many factors and parameters that influence that risk.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not getting too much details on that.
No, not at all. I think for me, the processes, I mean, I haven't worked in cybersecurity for long, but I worked in financial services for 25 years, and it's all about the processes in a regulated business. And it helps you, once you've got those processes in place, it helps you then identify what tools you need, what help you need, rather than going out and buying this stuff first. Or, it also gives you a chance to look at the legacy tech that you've got within the organization to see whether it's actually being effective in doing the job that you need.
Yes, absolutely. You need tools, but before tools, there is one step before that. And the step before that is really, you need to have some goals. You need to set goals for yourself.
Yeah.
You are the CIO, the company management, and the goal should be about what is our risk appetite, what is our business risk, what is our accepted risk, what we do not accept, where do we want to transfer the risk, maybe to get cyber insurance. So we need, first of all, to set for ourselves, before we are putting a plan, before we are putting products, before we are putting processes, first and foremost, we need to have goals.
Okay, so just stopping there quickly. So what we used to do for risk in financial services is what they call an attitude to risk questionnaire. So you talk through certain things with the client, then you talk about their attitude to risk, but what you'd also then look at is their capacity for loss. So you're telling me that you might have an adventurous attitude to risk, Mr. Client, but what if you lost all this money? You clearly couldn't afford to repay your mortgage and pay your bills. I suppose it's a similar type of process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's exactly the same. Actually, in every risk management, it's not just, it's not an invention for cybersecurity. It has been for, I think, over 100 years, the matters of risk management, financial risk management, health risk management. In every aspect, there are risk management, and it's all the same basic parameters. The funny thing that in cybersecurity, when everyone speaks about risk management, they are speaking about cyber threat, ransomware threat. And ransomware, it's a threat. It's not the risk. The risk is money. So you need to set yourself, what's your risk? What's your inherent risk? What's your residual risk? You need to understand this, and you need to understand also what's your risk appetite.
And I suppose it's the terminology, isn't it, as well? Like risk transference to me would be insurance, I suppose.
Exactly. Yes. Actually, the way it goes today is the risk transference goes between the CEOs to the CISO.
I think that's exactly how it is. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Joe's before we start digging in, Joe's asked another question here. I want to make sure that we get these answered. Are there any KPIs, key performance indicators, that you use to assess the effectiveness of a cybersecurity system or team other than pen tests? Good question.
Yes, indeed. Yes, there are. Actually, the KPIs should be not just once in a while, but they should be on a regular operational level. For every product, for every security product, there needs to be a process that how to manage, configure, and maintain this specific product.
So are you saying we need a pen test every month then, Ido?
No, we need a CISO.
Yeah.
The CISO responsibility, we need two elements. We need a good procedure that guides the person in charge of the operation of the technology, the specific technology, be it EDR, firewall, whatever, on one end. So for the operational day-to-day activities, we need to follow a certain process on every step that we follow with this technology. And on the other end, we need a CISO that once in a certain time audit the process and the technology. And the audit is penetration testing, it's the technology audit, and there is a process audit to audit the process that the operational person does. So practically, if you close these two matters, on one end, the operational process day to day, on the other end, the auditor process, together, the chances to have a vulnerability in your device, in your firewall, in your EDR are significantly lower. Again, they are always there. But once you have good processes, again, it's not easy to deploy these processes, and especially it's harder to make people follow these processes. And this is why, in our opinion, you need the management involved, because when the CISO will tell the security team, hey, you need to follow 1, 2, 3, they will say, okay, I have enough stuff to do, forget it.
And again, another big struggle that the CISOs I speak to have is the ability to report that in a concise, clear format that the board actually understands and will engage with. I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And just to sort of frame how Ido and I have met and how we've started talking. So we met last year. I think it was at Info Security Europe.
Yes,
last year, when I'd only been in the industry for about a year and a bit. I was all fresh-faced and walking around this conference, being told that I need to shift left and put AI in here. And for someone who just come into the industry, it just all seemed to be focused on those shiny tools and those shiny solutions. And when I stopped at Ido's stand and he told me about what they were doing at CISOteria, that 25 years of kind of risk management and risk assessment that I dealt with in financial services, it really helped me get a handle on the terminology and how things all slotted together. Well, since then, we've stayed in touch, and I've introduced Ido to quite a few CISOs around the world to get their feedback on what it is he's doing. And the feedback has been so overwhelmingly positive that I've agreed to come along as a friend, really, and help out at Info Security this year to try and grab some people in to make sure that more people can find out about this. Because, Ido, you're not backed by venture capitalists or private equity firms. This might be a great time for you to explain where CISOteria has come from and what you've been doing as a day job for the last 25 years before we launch into the platform. What do you think?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm speaking sort of against technology, although I'm not against technology, but I'm technologist on my background. So I studied mathematics, computer science back in many years ago. And I've been working in the technology industry, in computer software industry for many years. And I was living in New Jersey for about 9 years. And then when I relocated back to Israel, I founded the IPv Security, a consulting firm. And in IPv security, we conduct penetration tests, risk audit. We have a team here of 30 people, which what they do is conducting risk assessment, risk management, doing penetration testing, compliance, privacy compliance, and providing CISO as a service. And this is actually the roots of CISOteria. Because after a few years, by the way, we started offering CISO services about 11 or 12 years ago, when even the word cyber, I think, was not yet existent at that time. And we started offering these CISO services. And what happened is what we found out is that there is that everyone, again, is in the technology. But I was looking, hey, how do we know what's the status? How do I know what to do next? How do I prioritize? When the board of directors asked me, are we safe? I kind of, what to answer? How do I answer this question? And that actually, that's the roots of CISOteria. So after searching for some solutions, when I realized that there is no such solution in the industry, I decided to found the CISOteria. And in the last, and actually it was back in 2018, and since then we have been developing the product, the platform. Actually, it's a suite of product. We call it the Cyber OS, the Cyber Operating System for CISOs. And we can again go a few minutes to spend and see what it is all about. But the idea really is to help CISOs manage all of their activities. There's tons of activities the CISO is responsible to. Connect the management to what the CISO does, connect the CIO, connect the whole company. That's the idea behind CISOteria, to get everything together. About 6 months ago, we also we got a message, we got allowance for our patents. We've applied for patents in the US, in Europe, and we got allowance for our patents for all of this concept behind CISOteria. And in the last 6 months, actually, since Info Security, we started to actually demonstrate the product. And 6 months ago, we also started selling the product. And we have been getting amazing response because, again, it's I think for the first time in the industry, it's not another technology. It's another system or operation or cyber OS that helps you manage it end to end, help you quantify risk, help you manage the day-to-day activities, help you make sure that you are in compliance with regulations. That's the idea behind this platform.
Come on then, let's have a look.
Okay, let me. Where do I share my screen?
I think if you
yes,
click
okay,
share, then I should be able to bring that up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn. Once Ido's got that up, I'm going to turn the chat overlay off for now, just so that it goes full screen so you can actually see it. Because if your eyes are anything like mine, you'll be like this at the screen.
1 second. Here we are.
Control and C. There we go. Excellent, Joe. I'm so glad you're here. There we are. Right, let me turn this off. There we go.
Yes,
I love a picture.
CISOteria, just to give you an idea. Maybe actually before getting to that, let me show you. We just announced today of our new website.
I love that. I love the owl.
Yes, the owl is our presenter. We actually got this presenter, so we have him with us. And by the way, we are going to provide stickers with this owl and strategic CISO at Info Security. So I've got
spare space on my laptop ready to go right here.
Okay, so we will have this strategic CISO owl coming up with us and joining us. But what I would like to show you is that this operating system, again, if I scroll down, again, you can have a look yourself. But the idea is the CISOteria platform is built out of 3 products or 3 modules. The first one is the security operations management, which this is the day-to-day activities, the day-to-day tasks, the day-to-day projects. And as I mentioned before, if you did not install your patches, it immediately implies the risk management element. Where's your risk? Because the day-to-day activities relates to your risk management. And your governance and compliance, your policies are also related to your risk management. These are all three suites. So you don't need necessarily to buy this all three, but once you are using this all three, you get the full platform to manage. So let's see how specifically the platform is how does it work? You see on the left-hand side, we spoke about security operations. What does it mean, security operations? The day-to-day activities. So we have projects, and for every project that we have, we can say there are different projects. It can be a mitigation project. It can be an installation of a new product, any type of project. So we can follow on the specific project. We look at the project, and then we can see all the tasks which relates to the project. Every task, what's the status of the task? We can see a Gantt chart of where the process of this task, where it goes. And then we can also look at the tasks themselves. So every person, by the way, gets to see its own tasks, and it can actually report. So I can now, you see there is different types of tasks here. There are regular tasks, there are recurring activities tasks, there are audit tasks. You remember we talked about processes and audits, so there are audit tasks. And there are also recurring audit tasks, where we can see here. We can see also here recurring audit tasks.
So say you had an external auditor coming in to do your ISO 27001. Could you give them access to this then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we are actually just now about, actually we are going to have at InfoSecurity to show a full area where you can fully support the ISO 27001. Excellent. Together with the audits that comes, and we will also let the auditor come in and actually be able to do the audit from here and immediately report it here. So you see, for example, when you report, let's report this one, it's an audit activity. When you report an audit activity, you don't just report, I did this and this, it took me 5 hours and I completed my task. No, it's an audit task. An audit task should have results. The results can be passed, or it can be partially passed or didn't pass. Yeah. If it didn't pass, there are some findings. So you can have finding 1, and then you can provide its severity, critical. You can write in what did you find. You can provide evidence. You can provide screenshots or whatever evidence you have for your finding. And then you can immediately assign tasks. So you can provide evidence. You can assign immediate tasks to close this gap.
And you can assign that to anyone within the team, yeah?
Yes, and also external. By the way, we also have in the system support, so you can even assign tasks to people that are not even logging into CISOteria. We have done as a part of the solution is you can define an external party that you would like to do some tasks. You assign tasks. You just create a task for this other person. And this person will get an email with a link and in his mobile will get a password, and they will be able to clicking on that link, they will be able to report the task they completed. So it's not necessarily just for your own people. You can use anyone around the globe that does a job.
How many CISOs out there now outsource parts of their security function? I would say that is invaluable to have that in there, Ido.
Yes, there are many of this. Absolutely. This is part of why we've deployed this feature.
So going back to what you said at the start of the show, which was about your crown jewels. So if I was a CISO recently in role, so I've been in role 3 months, I've got my feet under the table, I've got to meet everyone in all the departments, I've got a fairly good idea of what's going on. How can we use this platform to start mapping out what assets we've got and what state they're in? I think that's one of the most important parts for me.
Right. Here you can see exactly the assets. So what you see here is, for example, email data, or you can see sales data.
Yeah.
Now, per each asset, we have all of this information per asset. So we can have the asset name, of course. We can have the description and what's the purpose. Who is the owner of this asset for the company? Which systems store this. So you can have a list of all of your system around. It can be on the cloud, it can be on premise, it can be any system that stores. You just click and you can just put them and as part of who holds which systems holding this asset. What are the criticalities of these assets from a CIA perspective? Confidentiality, integrity, availability. You remember we talked about dollar value. What's the dollar value? Assumed breach impact for this specific. So in this case, it's $250,000. Actually, it's more because it's in millions. Yes. So it's a huge impact on the company. And then you can see also a list of threats. What are the threats that, for example, it can be a ransom, it can be a breach of employee records, disruption, any type of things. And per each threat, you assign also a weight for it. You as the CISO. So now you have built your full assets list over here. We have actually we've told the system where these assets reside, and now we need actually to find out the risk. How do we find out the risk? These assets reside on our infrastructure. Here is our infrastructure. Each element in our infrastructure resides on a data center, on what we call here IT environment.
Yeah.
You see here IT environment. So now we are looking at every IT environment. What are the defense layers for every IT environment? And here we can see that there are defense layers for, in this case, we have a corporate data center. Yeah. We can have an Azure data center. So this one has a different set of defense layers. Every defense layer is built out of products, procedures, and processes. Now let's see from a management perspective, how do we see this all comes to play? Here we are. We have here the full company, the company status. We have the inherent risk, we have the proactivity level, and we have the most important number in the screen, which is the residual risk. Yeah. How do we calculate this? We calculate this by looking at the assets, which I just demonstrated a few minutes ago. And then we look at the data centers. And every data center we've talked about, they are built out of defense layers. These are the external network, endpoint, servers. These are the defense layers. And every defense layer...
tools. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They have products, procedures. If I would like to see only the procedures, I would look here. These are the procedures for these defense layers. If I would like to see the product, I will see just the product. Yeah. If I would like to see them all, I will see all the product, procedures, and processes.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting part, you see that we are being able to track every product and procedure and process to track its how good it is being implemented. And you see that most of the screen here are very red.
Yeah.
So now you ask yourself, why is that? What happened? So I will click on the Decoya product, for example, and what I will find out is that, again, speaking about Decoya, how do we define the status of implementation of the Decoya? We've talked about processes, audit processes, and implementation processes. What we see here, besides the metadata of this Decoya product, we can see here that there are 10 recommended tasks,
and
none done.
Yeah. Is this fairly common of an organization, Ido?
I would say maybe not 10, but 2.
Yeah.
but sorry, 5 not implemented. But here now, let's see. You see that there are built-in tasks to deploy Decoya, and let's see. I will just assign a certain number of tasks. I will assign to a certain employee of the company. Okay, and I will just tell him, okay, now we assigned few of these tasks, and what happens now, you can see that now we are recommended, we are at 6, but we have open task. Now, let's assume that we are Adrian Ortiz, which is responsible for the installation, and let's assume that Adrian now reports completed. So once he reports, I completed the installation, what happens to the system? Now we are at 11%. We were at 0% implementation. Now, again, Adrian reports, I establish a training baseline. Great, I've done this. Let's see what happens to the score. The score, now we are at 22%.
Yeah.
So every person that does anything of the operation or the audit, it immediately implies the score and it immediately changes the company score. So the numbers that we see here are changed accordingly. So this is how we connect the day-to-day operational activities and audit activities to the company business risk.
So how about, and I don't know the answer to this, so if the answer is no, I'm sorry for asking you the question, but from a, I could really put my foot on it here, from a management perspective, can you see a snapshot of all staff and the status they've got with their tasks?
Yes, actually, from a management perspective, we are just now building a PowerPoint that with a click, the CISO will get a full PowerPoint with all of the sum for executive management.
Yeah.
So he will just click on that and he will get the full report of or a PowerPoint report that they can share with the management.
Because this is, I suppose this is the bit I wanted to get onto, because we've only got a few minutes left. And whilst this is a really powerful thing for, I would suggest, especially a new CISO who's only been in the role, less than a year, a new organization, to help them get a grasp of where they are with everything and what they need to do. It's also an amazing tool for having those conversations with the board that so many leaders seem to struggle with, because not painting all board members with the same brush here, but the fact that it's visual and it's got pictures on and a graph that shows you what percent you're at, I think that definitely helps, without a doubt.
Yes. We are going to demonstrate, but actually we are a bit modifying the dashboard to make it more intuitive. So you can have a full graph and you can see what's the change between now and last week and 30 days ago. So you can see it all together. We are also just now, we will present it at InfoSecurity, this new dashboard. We also have for example, for the ISO, we are going to have something similar to what you can see here. So you can see exactly what's your status with the ISO. This one is privacy specifically, but we will have here the same thing for the ISO, so you can see exactly where you stand with the ISO.
Brilliant.
All the sections of the ISO, you will be able to see where you stand with them, so you can know exactly what's your status from an ISO perspective. Now, combining regulations to the day-to-day activities and to the risk management, that's exactly the idea of having a full CyberOS platform.
I love it. I think it's really good. And do you know what? It's time for us to wrap up, but I wanna say something quickly at the end here, because it's important to be completely transparent, and two, hopefully it'll help you all work out a little bit more the direction the community is going in. So for anyone who's been watching LinkedIn or YouTube recently, you'll see that we've got 30 people in a cohort. I think a couple of them are even in the chat here, who are doing an 8-week workshop fully funded by InfoSec Live community. The way that we're funding the community at the moment is twofold. One, it's the events that I've been hosting in the UK and US. We've been funneling some of the money from those into supporting these ventures in the community. And Precious and I have got massive plans to get 100 people through these workshops every quarter. And the only way we're going to do that is if we drive some more income into the community. Now, that's a difficult thing to do. So what I've been doing over the last year, 18 months, is finding strategic partners who I think have got a product or a solution that's pretty groundbreaking, does an amazing job, and I'd be prepared to nail my colors and the InfoSec Live colors to the mast. So full transparency here. If anyone comes through and buys a subscription to CISOteria through myself or the InfoSec Live platform from these events or from InfoSecurity Europe, a portion of that money is going to go back into the InfoSec Live community to help fund these workshops moving forward. So if anyone's watching and they think they might know of someone who could find this useful, please do share it. And I've got a special little ticker here that I'm going to bring up at the bottom. And for anyone who is going to InfoSecurity Europe this June, I think it's 2 weeks tomorrow, it kicks off. I'll be on the stand with Ido and his team at stand V18 from Tuesday, the 21st of June. So if you'd like to come along and find out more about how this platform works and how it can potentially help you or your organization, you won't just be adopting an amazing solution that Ido's put together, you'll be helping to fund the InfoSec Live community moving forward. I think it's important that we're open about that. And it's been difficult to do this because finding trusted partners, especially when you spend your whole time on a YouTube channel moaning about vendors and their silver bullet solutions, it's very difficult to find someone that you can partner with. So, Ido, it's an absolute delight to be able to work with you on this. And I think we've already had some amazing conversations with leaders who you've engaged with. And I think there'll be many, many more to come. And hopefully by us standing on that stand and rugby tackling some of you as you come past to engage you in conversations in a couple of weeks' time might help even more. But Ido, any wise words before we wrap things up? It's like midnight where you are. It's time for bed.
It's almost, yes. It's almost, since I started my day here at 7 a.m. in the morning, now it's 11, so it's good. It's a short day today. Anyhow, first of all, I really thank you, Simon, for the opportunity, and we will be more than happy again, as you mentioned, and we are looking for as many people that they can actually we can have a one-on-one meetings at InfoSecurity, and we can demonstrate. We are going to have some announcement. We are going to have some raffles and get some good stuff. We've
got some giveaways as well, not just really good stickers. But we've got some other giveaways as well. I noticed that Justin in the chat said he'd love to connect with Ido to ensure CISOteria is digitally accessible, and you're going to love that conversation. Justin is doing some amazing work. So I've dropped your LinkedIn profile in the chat, Ido, to make sure that you catch it. It's Justin Merhoff, by the way. If you see the name come up and you want to connect with him, great guy. Be good to have a conversation. So yeah, come and see us 2 weeks' time. We'll be at the Excel Center. I'll be the one drinking loads of cups of decaf coffee and hopefully engaging people in conversation.
I'll be drinking the beer.
You'll be drinking. I'll be watching. I don't drink, but there we go. But everyone, Ido, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the evening. And I look forward to meeting you in person again in a couple of weeks' time. And for everyone who's tuned in, thank you so much. As always, it's been amazing. And we'll see you all really, really soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Simon.
Take care. See you all.